Hi everybody, my name is Dennis and welcome back to another album review. Today we're reviewing the latest record from meme, rapper, and entertainer Yung Gravy, entitled Sensational. Now, Yung Gravy is an artist that you shouldn't take too seriously. He is a novelty artist, he makes funny music that really you can't think about too deeply or it'll lose a lot of its comedic value. So that being said, a lot of the appeal to Yung Gravy comes through his ridiculous nature, persona, and lyrics, and his odd yet intriguing use of samples, oftentimes using older songs and putting a spin on them in order to use those as his beat. For example, on his most popular song, even though it didn't come up on this album, the song Mr. Clean uses the Mr. Sandman beat, or the sound, it samples the Mr. Sandman song from, I believe, the 60s, and that's the driving beat of the song, and actually works really well. And he does that for a few tracks on here, taking classic songs that have this nice retro vibe and turning them into really good samples, actually. On songs such as Charlene, he has these really old school classic R&B sounds that he raps over, and it actually sounds really nice. On top of that, a lot of what makes his music so funny is a lot of the lyrics that he puts in here. They tend to be very over the top, very extravagant in the nature of just how much of a player Yung Gravy really is. I mean, he's got your sister, he's got your mom, he's got your grandma, he's got your dentist, he's got your airline crew, he's got everything. It's just ridiculous, and that's what makes it so fun at times, just how ridiculous it is. And I can see how some people might see that as really irritating or really just brain dead, lowbrow, stupid humor, and in a lot of ways it really is. It's lowbrow, it's dumb, it's raunchy, but it's so ridiculous that sometimes you just can't help but laugh at it. The song Gravy for Pope is a very, very good opening track on here. I love the smooth R&B atmospheric beat to it, and I like how the lyrics are just how Yung Gravy is talking about how he should be Pope and even referencing himself to be Jesus at times, and then going right back to talking about all the women that he's having relations with, and it has this kind of funny contrast to it that I think makes the song a really entertaining listen. The song Buttered Up, featuring Juicy J, has once again a really great beat to it. It's really fun, it's really funky, it's really easy to move along with. And on top of that, this whole thing is about Yung Gravy seducing the mascot. He's seducing the mascot to the mascot for a pancake brand. I mean, he's seducing Mrs. Buttersworth. I mean, that's just crazy. It's stupid, but it's funny. It's creative, and you gotta give him credit that no one else is doing that, you know? Juicy J's feature on here is great. I thought the hook on this thing is extremely catchy. I love the power in the vocals. Juicy J has a great verse. Yung Gravy has a great verse. It's a really great song overall. Charlene, even though it's not full of as many quips as these previous songs, it's still a really fun one. Like I said, it takes that old school sound and it makes it really, really great. Mia Gladstone has a beautiful hook on here. I love the way she sings, and it's really fun, and she has a nice classic sound to her voice that complements the beat really well. And once again, this doesn't quite have quite as many quips or creative lines in here, but it does still present that persona of Gravy being just a straight up player, where we have Mia Gladstone in her hook begging Yung Gravy to have her child, which is kind of funny when you think about it for a little bit, because if you've seen pictures of Yung Gravy, he's not exactly the most attractive person in the world, and I think that just makes this so much funnier. I mean, you can tell that he just has a lot of fun with what he does. He doesn't take himself seriously, and it allows the music to just be dumb fun at times. I mean, he regularly performs in a bathrobe. I mean, that should tell you everything you need to know about the persona he's trying to show off. The Boys Are Back in Town is another great song on this album. It's actually an unironic banger. I think the beat is absolutely amazing. I love everything that this song does. It has a few different features on here from people such as Trippy the Kid, and all the features on here are great. Once again, this one doesn't have nearly as many quips or funny moments in it as some of the other songs on the album, but the beat is just straight up amazing. I mean, it's just so fun, it's so catchy, it's such a banger, it's a great song. But, unfortunately, after these four songs, the album really does start to take a nosedive. It goes from being this fun, creative, upbeat project to really just bland and forgettable. The song Magic sounds like a mediocre Dram ripoff, and even though it does have some elements of Young Gravy being himself, it really fails to do anything interesting. Once again, it feels like Dram without Dram, and it comes across as just really unoriginal at times. Where, even though, again, there are some creative lines, such as him talking about how he's, got your sister, and he's doing her like magic, doing stuff with handcuffs, and it's kind of creative, but it's really bland at times, and it leads to the song being really forgettable. The hook on it's not all that great either. Young Gravy's singing really isn't that great. He should just stick to the kind of quirky rapping that he does. The song Whip a Tesla featuring Baby No Money is okay. I think Baby No Money does actually pretty good on this song. His much more deep voice and a monotone delivery definitely suit the beat well. I do think Young Gravy just sounds okay on this beat. And some of the jokes do fall flat on this song, especially the Chuck Testa line, which is such an outdated reference to pop culture. It's just makes it seem kind of outdated instead of retro. The Daddy Aioli interlude was okay. It's an interlude. You don't really have a lot to say about it. The lyrics were kind of funny at times, but it's nothing really all that amazing. Song Gravy Train, however, is actually really great. This is another one that takes an old song and flips it on its head to make it a rap beat, and it's actually really great. This is Young Gravy doing exactly what Young Gravy does best. Having funny, out of nowhere lines about the random women that he's got, whether it be your cousin, your sister, or whatever. How he's just got all of these women. And it's just ridiculous, and it's funny, and it's Young Gravy just being his crazy self on here on Gravy Train, and it's another really great song with a really fun sound to it. After that, the song E.T. is absolutely atrocious. The beat is annoying. I think it was Young Mayo's feature is absolutely horrible. His vocals are grating, disgusting, and just painful to listen to. There's not really any funny lines on this thing to even warrant listening to the lyrics. It's really just a bad song overall. The next song, Alley Oop, featuring Lil Baby, it's okay. I think the beat is alright, and there are some funny lines on here again, but Lil Baby's feature, if you've watched some of my other videos, you would know I'm really not a fan of Lil Baby, and he just kind of does the same thing he always does on here. Sounds like a lazy Future ripoff who really just doesn't care about whatever he does. The song is okay. Like I said, it has some funny lines on it here and there. Young Gravy does okay on it, but really that's just all the song is nothing more than okay. Richard Simmons is another decent song that just fails to capitalize on what it's trying to do. This one, the jokes especially fall flat. The references to Richard Simmons really don't go anywhere past the being rich, and it really just comes off as uncreative. You could have just picked any rich person whatsoever, and Richard Simmons just happened to be the one that he went with. On top of that, there were some references to Nick Cage and National Treasure that were kind of just corny at times, really, and the beat was actually solid on that song, and it really wasn't that bad sounding, but a lot of the quips and one-liners just fall flat on their face, unfortunately. From there, we have the song Pizzazz, which actually is one of the funnier songs on the album. This one, him talking about, piping your dentist, doing all this stuff, and, Gravy got that pizzazz. He don't make rap, he makes smooth jazz. And it's kind of just a funny song overall. There are some other lines in there that were definitely really creative. But unfortunately, the beat is pretty forgettable. His flow is kind of weak on this song, and it becomes just a mediocre track overall, unfortunately. However, the closing track on the album is actually pretty good. It's one that he's put out a while ago, but he decided to throw it on this album, and it actually is a really good track. It's a One Thought, Two Thought, Red Thought, Blue Thought, and once again, this one being really ridiculous, really over the top, and it's just fun. Here we have of course, the reference to Dr. Seuss with the one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish, but he doesn't have fishes, he has thoughts, and it's really creative. It's really all over the place. I also love the references he makes to food, not only on this song but on other points in the album, where on this song specifically he's talking about he's got your girl in the kitchen cooking up a pork chop, and then on other songs he talks about how I think it was on the song Charlene, he talks about spreading it, tells a girl to spread her butter on the biscuits and the gravy, which it's really dirty, it's really raunchy, but it's so creative, it's so wild, it's so fun that I just can't help but love lines like that. They're so ridiculous and fun. So with all that being said, Young Gravy's a clearly talented, funny artist, but he just fails to capitalize on that a lot of times, whether it be the jokes falling flat on some songs, even sometimes the jokes getting stale, where he doesn't really differentiate from this same topic throughout the album. And it doesn't bother me as much because he does tackle it in creative ways, whether it be, going after Mrs. Buttersworth or going after your dentist, but it's kind of just a cut and paste joke at times, it feels. So he's far from a perfect artist, but I do think he has a lot of talent and a lot of room to improve, and I think he should stick to doing those classic R&B beats, because those were easily the best songs on this album, because they're fun, they're fresh, they're funky, and they have a lot of energy to them that makes them great. So even though I do like a lot of things about this album, there are just so many things about it that prevent me from really loving it. So with all that being said, I'm feeling a strong 6 on this. I would still recommend checking it out, honestly. It's not an amazing album, but it does have some really great moments on it that I think are worth giving a shot. I can see Young Gravy really improving in the future here. So that being said, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the album if you gave it a listen. Be sure to tell me how wrong my opinion is as always, and I'll see you in the next review.